So during the course overview, what we're going to do is we want to review the program structure and what we will be doing in each module and understand what is expected of you in terms of assignments and final deliverables. So the first thing I want to talk about is how we think about new venture projects and our basic philosophy about the class and the work that you're going to be doing. So this is a very applied type class. So we're looking to help you learn by doing. So you're going to be working on a venture idea of your choice throughout the course, and it's 8 modules. And a few things to think about when you're considering the project that you're going to work on during the class is, one, we want it to be authentic. So for example, we want it to be real. We want it to be something that's important. All right. We want you to solve real problems for real customers. So it's an authentic project. It's not something that is not important or doesn't involve real problems, things that people aren't interested in. We want you to be working on something that you see is important. Secondly, it should be feasible. All right. So this should be something that you can do now or in the near term based on your time, your resources, your knowledge, etc. So these are things that we're going to talk about later on. But for now, this should be something that's actually doable. So you want to be thinking about, is this something that I have enough knowledge to be able to do? Do I have a certain amount of the skills? If you're working on a team, does the team have in aggregate the skills that are necessary and things like that? But you want it to be something that's doable, that's feasible, and it's something that you can start working on as soon as the class is over, basically. Also, in terms of access, and access we look at in 2 ways, both in terms of knowledge and in terms of access to the marketplace. And in both cases, what we're looking for is, first, do you have either enough knowledge on your own, enough knowledge between you and your team members, or do you have access to maybe domain experts that will help you work through all the things you need to be able to create a feasible venture. So that would be number one. The second part has to do with access to the market. I think the way I like to look at this is, do you have the ability to talk to real customers tomorrow, right? If I asked you to start interviewing customers in the next few days, could you find 10, 20 people? Could you actually email them, set up an appointment and talk to them? Or email them a survey and hopefully get some responses. So, I mean, we're really looking for you really need to be able to reach out either with people that you know or through your network to talk to and engage actual customers of the venture that you're hoping to create. So that's a very important piece. Next, whether you have a team or whether you're working as an individual founder for this class, it's always a collaborative process. So we want to make sure that you start thinking about who's going to participate in the overall design and development of this venture. Are there certain domain experts or advisors that you're going to want to involve? Are there certain organizations that you believe that you'll want to have as part of your sort of a team, if you will, and partnerships, etc. So you want to be thinking about these things, realizing that it is a collaborative. And then finally, just to mention that, as you go through this process, things may change. Your view of the problem that you're trying to solve, your view of who the customer is, your understanding of what their expectations are, all may change. And so you may have to, pivot your idea to something different, whether it's a different product or service, whether it's a different problem altogether, or whether it's maybe a different customer segment. But, you should be, flexible enough, if you will, to understand that, there's changes that do happen when you do a deep dive into the areas that we're going to do. So that's some of the things we think about when we talk about having an applied approach to the venture creation and development process. Now, the program itself is structured in both live sessions and self-directed sessions. And basically, the combination of the two, we're providing a lot of content for you to review, content that we will provide in the 2 live sessions for this program, as well as content in the McGraw-Hill Connect platform in the ebook format that will provide you with content and all the assignments for each of the 8 modules. And you can be working on those in your own pace in between the live sessions. So that's sort of the overview structure. Here is the modules, and we're going to be going over each one in great detail, but basically this is a sequence that we have been working on for a long time at the business school. It really works you through from the very beginning of assessing whether your idea is something that is worth going after and something that's important to you and meets the criteria that I mentioned earlier. And then from there, building out an early business model to make sure you're thinking about all the elements that it's going to take to create value to the customer. You're going to do a deep dive into who the customer is, and you're going to be engaging the customer throughout this process. You're going to do more research on the market, both in terms of how big the market is, how attractive it is, and also who the competitors are, and other important stakeholders in the industry, for example, that might be important to know or engage in some way. We'll get you started on early product design and how to test some of these early designs with customers to make sure that you're on the right track. We'll spend some time talking about your marketing strategy and your branding strategy and some of the important elements with a focus on customer acquisition and how to get early customers to engage with you and hopefully use your product and purchase your product and to gain early traction in the marketplace. We have a good set of activities that help you build out financial statements as they are associated and relevant for startups, etc. And then finally, some of the legal issues and other operational issues that you should be thinking about as you head towards your launch date. So the modules cover a lot of ground, and we're looking forward to working with you on each step. So let's stop there, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the assignment structures. Now that we've gone over the modules, let's go over the module flow and how things kind of work together within a module. So when you go into the Connect platform, which we'll show you in a minute, you start with the modules ebook readings, right? So these are readings that we have put together in order for you to begin to understand the main elements of the module and the kinds of things that you should be thinking about in order to be able to do the assignments and to move your venture along within that specific area. Once you've done the readings, you move into what we call assignment worksheets. And these worksheets are well, just what we're calling them. They're actually worksheets that allow you to sit there and kind of brainstorm either with yourself or with your team and think about the things that are very important to be considering during this part of your venture creation process. All right, we worked hard to think about sort of in each module and each point in time, what are the most important things for you to be thinking about? And these worksheets are really your guide for that, for you to consider what these very important elements at that particular time. Once you've done the worksheets, then you kind of summarize what your thinking is in the form of a presentation deck. We call it the business plan deck. And this is something where you will be, it's a dynamic, living, breathing document where you add to each module. So in the first module, you create a few slides. In the next module, you add to that file. So you just keep adding to the file. We even have a template that will help you if you like to use a template to sort of follow along throughout all the modules. But basically, you're taking the thinking from the worksheets, you're moving it to the business plan deck. Finally, the module ends with each module ends with a reflection. The reflection questions are there to share with us not only what you've learned, but how you're considering applying the learning to your actual venture. This allows us to think about if there's any individual feedback that we can give you beyond what we give you from the assignments, but anything specifically that might help you based on your particular venture. adventure. So this is first how the flow works. So now from here, let's go to the modules in Connect. So when you first go in Connect, you'll see in one of your first views all the modules. All right, you'll see right there. You start with the Welcome to Class. This important reading actually tells you everything that's sort of in this course overview and more. And it's important that you read it and actually you check off that you have read it, just because we want everybody to kind of start with the right information. And then you go ahead and you begin with module 1 and then follow up module 2, etc. And each module has a number of items, right? Again, they have ebook readings, worksheets, a place to submit your business plan, and a reflection. So each module does fit the same. So I've picked module 2 as an example to give you a sense of what things look like. So when you move in, if you clicked on module 2, you would see all the items that are relevant for that module. Right up front, you see that there's some readings, right? Symbolized by the little book icon, followed by the 2 worksheet assignments, the place for you to submit your business plan deck and for at the end of module 2, and then the final reflection question. So every module sort of looks the same as this. Once you go and click in the first reading, it'll start with an introduction of the actual module and what the learning objectives are, and what you can expect to be able to do once you're finished. Once you finish that, you do all the other readings. All right. Usually, you can read and do assignments back and forth, but usually it makes sense just to do the readings first, get a good sense of everything that we're thinking about in that particular module. And then you would go into the assignment section and the worksheets. And here's a sample of a partial sample of a worksheet in module 2. This is where you're beginning to develop the materials for your business model. And each section of the business model, in this case, there are actually nine sections, but here are the first couple, where you'd be thinking about very specific issues about the customer, about the value and what they're looking for to solve a problem, and what they may be looking for in a solution. All right, you'd be putting this all down, just in your own words, try to get your thoughts together. And then once you have them together, you would be ready to basically submit, right? So you submit your business plan submission file, right? Again, it's usually a PowerPoint file or a PDF, and you would be putting this in there for us to review and provide you with feedback. You'll notice here from us, we've provided a template which you can use. It actually also supports and very much is aligned with the worksheet request. So you'll see how things kind of align. So if you wanted to use that template to help with your submissions, that's fine with us, or feel free to be creative. That's also okay. And then from there, you move into the final reflection. You respond to that question, so we can also see how you're thinking about the materials at that point in time. And that completes a module, right? So you go from the readings to the worksheets, submitting your business plan file for that particular module, which includes all slides to date, and then you finish up with the reflection. Right. So what happens is you'll see that you're focusing on really trying to put together this business plan deck. So it's a very important assignment. This is the one we actually manually grade, right? So it's very important that we think about that. And then we also have the reflections for us to review. All right, so you would be doing that. That helps us, again, look at you as an individual, especially if you're working as a team. Sometimes teams will submit the business plan as one submission, but this still gives us a chance to look at each individual member and make sure that they're applying things the way that make the most sense and allow us to support that in any way. And then in terms of the assignments that are important to do, but they're very much supporting, which is these worksheets. These worksheets are there for you to really guide you and guide your thinking throughout the work that you're doing for each module. It very much helps you and supports your business plan deck development. And then you have the readings both in the Connect platform and in the ebook format, as well as any other additional readings that we may provide you either during the live sessions or certainly in weekly announcements and things like that. So there's a lot of reading that you can do to support the development of your venture. Now, how do the assignments work together? Again, just to give you a sense. So here's a little snapshot. This comes out of actually module 4. So in this case, you will have been thinking about and analyzing your competition. And this assignment is getting you to think about how you're positioned against your competition, how you will enter the market from a competitive perspective as appropriate. And basically the instructions will explain it to you. Then you have a worksheet. In this case, you can see the worksheet actually is giving you a basically positioning map, a generic one for you to kind of fill out and think about the various elements of putting together a positioning map. So it's guiding you towards how to do it and how to think about it. And then from there, you would create an actual slide. Here's just a sample slide where you would be showing your competition and where they fit across these two so value axes, if you will, two areas or product attribute areas, in this case, affordability and let's call it curation, and where you fit, in this case, it's the two little nested eggs here as the logo of the venture that did this slide, along with who their competitors are and where they fit in these variables. And that's just a good example. And this would be the kind of slide that you would put together. So from there, the last thing I'll just want to say is, how does this all connect to, and what do you end up with at the end of the course? Well, we've been talking about your ebook readings, your worksheets, your business plan deck submissions, and the reflections. And when you're finished the 8 modules, you'll have a very nice set of deliverables. You're going to have a final business plan deck, which can be used as more of a deep dive business plan, something that you may share with people or you may just continue to work on. I have many students that just continually work on this, and it evolves over time. You'll have a venture presentation, which will be what some people call the pitch. That's usually 8 to 10 slides. You'll have that so you can actually share if you want to go into a competition or you want to share it with other people that might be interested in working with you. You'll have a nice, concise presentation deck. You also have a 1-page executive summary that you'll put together. This allows you to maybe email like a basic idea of what you're doing to see if someone's interested. It's a very useful document. And in this class, we usually at least have you work through the first 12 months in great detail, providing your financial statements. And so you would have that as an appendices item along with all these other documents. So when you're finished with the 8 modules, you really have everything you need to move forward and head towards what I'm sure will be a successful launch. So thank you very much.